I'm Professor Spillman, and we're studying in major prophets. Tonight we're
Minor prophets.
minor prophets, excuse me.
Yeah.
I get the majors and the minors mixed up. They both said the same thing, but in longer and shorter ways.
That's it.
Minor prophets. And tonight I've handed out to you a little square with the word Jerusalem written right beside it. Okay?
Yeah.
Mark where Jerusalem is. Just I'm saying, in your mind or whatever, it's okay. It's your map. You can mark on it. There's no problem. Then En Gedi is down here in the middle of the west coast of the Dead Sea.
Mm-hmm.
With another square. Getty.
There's a little square right there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh. G-E-D-I.
And the reason I want you to mark those is because they're
Okay.
mentioned in these texts as we go through here. And tonight we're only covering one chapter, so we're expanding it a little bit geographically so you can kind of understand this, because this is a really interesting chapter, at least it is to me, because it has a lot of geographic things going on in it. So if you got those things marked, then go in your Bibles to Zechariah chapter 14. We'll read the whole chapter. It's not very long. It's very interesting. We've heard about all the doom and gloom that's coming, haven't we? All the doom and gloom that's already gone on. And now it says, "Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east." Now, what does cleave mean?
Hold on.
Right.
Two.
You have a cleaver. You ladies know what a cleaver is. You cut meat with. And you cleave meat. What do?
Yeah, cutting it.
Cutting it. You're putting a big cut. If you're using a cleaver, that's a big instrument.
Cut it in half.
And you can put a big cut in it. Now he says, the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. On that map I gave you, east is on your right and west is on your left. Okay? So he's going to cleave between the east and the west. "And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south." So it sounds like to me they actually cut it twice, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? "And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains." Now, if you look on that map that I gave you, the very dark brown areas are the highest peaks in the mountains. You see, the Dead Sea is between a pair of mountain ranges there.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like you have between the Ochre Range and the Wasatch Range out here. But it says, "You shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah the king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark. But it shall come one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem." Now, this is interesting. But it says, living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, half of them toward the hinder sea. In the summer and winter shall it be. And the Lord shall be king over all the earth, and that day shall there be one Lord, and his name one. All the land shall be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem. And it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place. It's going to be raised up. It says, Jerusalem's sitting on the top. If you look at that very dark brown place where Jerusalem's sitting, it's sitting up on the top, isn't it?
Yeah.
On top of that mountain. And we've seen other pictures of Jerusalem in other courses we've had where Jerusalem is built on a couple of mountains back in there. And it says, it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate unto the palace, unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananeel unto the king's wine presses. And of course, we can't see that detail because this map is very small in comparison to what he's describing here. But it says, and men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. Their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Lord shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that shall be in these tents as this plague. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up, and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Lord, and the pots in the Lord's house shall be like bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto the Lord of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take care of them, and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. You see, the Lord's going to get rid of all those Canaanites that he told the people to get rid of. How many years before? So let's go to page 149 then in our text. And Dr. Tao has given us a word here that we don't see it every day. It's not real common. Doc and I like to discuss words that we find uncommon. And in about the third line down, you'll see a word that's called decritive. It's D-E-C-R-E-T-I-V-E. It's right at the first part of the third line. And that word means having force. Thank you. That word means having force, authority, or nature of a decree. Now, you've heard of somebody getting a divorce, haven't you?
Yeah.
What's the decree?
Divorce decree.
That's the statement that the judge says this thing is over with, and it is my judgment that thus and such will be done. That's a decree. He's put out his orders, okay? So when we see that word, it means whatever they're just talking about is destined to happen rather than just permitted. And it's unchangeable, as in the unchangeable will of God, okay? Just so you understand what that word means, decretive, I guess is the right way. This chapter describes in detail how the Messiah will come to save his own. The attack on Jerusalem cannot happen without his decretive will. Hence it is said, "For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. And the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city." In counterattacking the enemy, the Lord himself will descend from out of the blue. He will land on the Mount of Olives, as also predicted by the two angels on Ascension Day to Jesus' disciples. "Ye men of Galilee, why stand you gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." You remember that? When we were studying our Easter story, we heard that, didn't we? It says, at the point of landing of the Savior, an earthquake, God's E-bomb, and we'll explain that a little bit farther down the line here, God's E-bomb will split the Mount of Olives eastwards and westwards. A great valley now appears, while the hillside slides to the north and south. This valley is God's provision for the remnants to escape through to Azal, probably on the eastern side of Jerusalem. The prophet compares this escape to an event also of an earthquake in the reign of King Uzziah, which event was mentioned by Amos 200 years before Zechariah in Amos 1 verse 1. It said, "In the intervening minutes of the remnants' escape, the Lord will descend with all his saints to set up his kingdom." In the confusion of war, with the discharge of guns and mortars and the raining of bombs, the atmosphere will be so polluted that the light of day is shrouded as in twilight or under a smog. This day will be a compound of day and night and known only to the Lord. Suddenly living waters spring out of Jerusalem. Now this is part of the purpose of this map, is so you can kind of visualize this happening. But it says, "This day be a compound of day and night known unto the Lord. Suddenly living waters spring out of Jerusalem, which flows both to the Mediterranean Sea," which you see way over on the left, that deep blue that you see on the left, "and to the Dead Sea is the deep blue to the right of Jerusalem." Okay, it's a little farther going one way than it is the other, but this is some interesting fact that they're giving us about that particular event. It says this will be a perennial stream all the year round, summer and winter. Remember reading that in the text? And it says there is much talk in Israel today about bringing water from the Mediterranean to the Dead Sea by cleaving the earth. In other words, the construction of a canal. The water inflow to the Dead Sea has been reduced over the years by about 75% because of various water diversion schemes carried out in Israel and Jordan. This, combined with its high evaporation rate, has resulted in an extensive drying out process, especially at the southern shallow end of the Dead Sea. A response to this situation is the proposed Mediterranean Dead Sea Canal. Plans call for a water conduit about 65 miles long, a pumping station, and a hydroelectric power plant powered by the 1,000-foot drop needed to reach the low level of the Dead Sea. They didn't tell you this, but they will bring it out a little bit later in the lesson. But the surface of the Dead Sea is 1,412 feet below sea level. Can you imagine that? Makes you wonder why it just didn't overflow and
Right.
drown the place, doesn't it?
Right.
But it says also, in some of the facts that I studied today, that the Dead Sea is 1,000 feet deep in some places. That's
Wow.
very deep for that kind of a body of water.
Yeah.
Okay? So, implementation of the project would have far-reaching effects. Not only would the water level of the Dead Sea be maintained, but the project would open up opportunities for further development of the Negev and Dead Sea regions, as well as adding to Israel's energy resources. That came from the Facts About Israel and Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Jerusalem in 1985. Yes, sir.
So would the elevation change that we're talking about have something to do with how, I'm still kind of perplexed about hydroelectric plant.
Hydroelectric plant is where they take water
Well, I understand.
and they back it up behind the dam, and then they take the water out from the dam under pressure down through the turbines, turn turbines to generate electricity.
Like a big fan.
But we're talking about an ancient society that didn't have any of that.
No, you missed the point here. This is an
1985.
official
Oh, this is
an official discussion. I just read to you. It's an official discussion. Facts About Israel, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Jerusalem, 1985. Okay,
Okay, I'm thinking.
we were all alive in
I'm
1985.
thinking, how did they do
Yeah.
this in
So it's something they're gonna do.
AD whatever?
No.
you know?
No, what they're doing is this is something that's proposed to get water to the Dead Sea so that it doesn't go dry. Okay, we've got a situation here at the Great Salt Lake. They're trying to figure out a way to keep it from going dry. And I know that Governor Bangerter, back when he was in power, had a solution to that. And a company that he owned built some great, huge pumps.
And they
And
left
they,
them out there.
and they pumped water to the Great Salt Lake for a long time with them. Those pumps are still sitting out there all rusted up now.
Oh.
But they,
Millions of dollars for the pumps.
Mhm.
That was Norm's brother.
Well, this is the same kind of an idea, only this is gonna it's gonna have a pumping station. But if you look at this mountain, they've got to go over the mountain. So that's what the pumping station's going to do for them. Once you get up over the mountain, where's it going to go?
Downhill.
You're going from sea level uphill, and then you're going way downhill. The surface of the Dead Sea is 1,400 feet below the level of the Mediterranean Sea.
They could siphon it. Just a thought.
Should this Mediterranean Dead Sea
To find the page number.
Okay.
Should this Mediterranean Dead Sea Canal be constructed, it might take Israel a decade to complete.
Wow.
How long did it take them to build the Suez Canal? Anybody remember? We had those facts way
200
back.
years?
Hmm?
Wasn't it 200 years?
It took them 10 years.
10 years.
About
It's the same thing.
1859 to 1869, I think,
Oh.
when they first built it. It says, with God it is done in 1 minute by the Olivet earthquake.
Yeah.
Okay? Now we're talking about the same thing, aren't we? We're talking about an earthquake that's going to have water coming from Jerusalem going into the Dead Sea, aren't we?
Right.
And if they built this Mediterranean Dead Sea Canal, they're going to have to do something similar to that, aren't they? If they're going to get water all the way from the Mediterranean Sea up over that mountain, back down into the Dead Sea to put water back in there.
Save the time.
Now watch what God's going to do. For a result of the quake, we read in the following verse, and it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem. Guess what? Everything's downhill from Jerusalem, both directions, isn't it?
Yes.
The Mediterranean going over to the west, Dead Sea going over to the east.
Yeah.
Where's the water coming from?
Good question.
Coming out of the temple.
Mediterranean Sea, isn't it?
It's coming out of the temple.
Out of Jerusalem.
water shall go out from Jerusalem.
That's what the scripture
Living
says.
waters shall go out from Jerusalem.
Mhm.
Half of them toward the former sea, half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. While man's A bomb, or H as in hell bomb, is a deadly scorching fire, God's E bomb releases an everlasting life-giving stream. The prophet Ezekiel sees living water coming out of Jerusalem more vividly in the day of Israel's restoration as follows. Now, this is Ezekiel. He says, afterward, he brought me again unto the door of the house. Okay. What house? House of God. Okay. And behold, waters issued out from under the threshold of the house eastward. Okay, where's it going to go if it's going out from the house eastward?
Downhill.
Downhill to where?
The
Dead Sea.
Sea.
See.
It's going east, it's going to the Dead Sea. Okay. You got a continental divide over here, somewhere between Colorado and here,
Oh, yeah.
that says water is going to flow to California on this side of that continental divide. Okay, I grew up on the other side of the continental divide, where all the water flows toward the Mississippi River.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The rivers go different directions.
Because that mountain is the divide. This right here, Jerusalem, is the continental. We wouldn't call it a continental divide there, but that's just to put it in similar vernacular. Jerusalem is right there, and it says, for the forefront of the house stood toward the east, and the waters came down from under the right side of the house at the south side of the altar. Then brought he me out of the way of the gate northward, and led me about the way without unto the utter gate by the way that looketh eastward. And behold, there ran out waters on the right side. And when the man that had the line in his hand went forth eastward, he measured 1,000 cubits, and he brought me through the waters. The waters were to the ankles. Again, he measured 1,000, and brought me through the waters. The waters were to the knees. Again, he measured 1,000, and he brought me through the waters were to the loins. Afterward, he measured 1,000, and it was a river that I could not pass over, for the waters were risen, waters to swim in, a river that could not be passed over. And he said unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen this? And he brought me and caused me to return to the brink of the river. Now when I had returned, behold, at the bank of the river there were many trees on one side and on the other. Then said he unto me, These waters issue out toward the east country, and go down into the desert, and go into the sea, which being brought forth into the sea, the waters shall be healed. What's wrong with the waters in the Dead Sea?
They're dead.
Dead.
They're dead.
Are there any fish living in the Dead Sea?
Dead. No water.
Can't live in it, can they?
No.
So much salt you can't even drown in it.
So that line he has,
Float.
that line he has is not a fishing line.
Well, it's a measuring line. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on. It says, And it shall come to pass that everything that liveth, which moveth whithersoever the rivers shall come, shall live. Living things will get into this river.
That's good.
That's pretty amazing.
Right.
And when you think about this is just a river that just started up coming out of the temple, isn't it? And there shall be a very great multitude of fish, because these waters shall come thither, for they shall be healed. That means God's fixing
Yeah.
Right.
it. And everything shall live whither the river cometh. That means where the river cometh, okay? Says, and it shall come to pass that the fishers, wait a minute, what are we doing with fishers? Dead Sea's dead. There ain't no fish in the Dead Sea.
There is now.
Yep, there is.
Look at where En-Gedi is marked in this next sentence. Remember I had you mark En-Gedi?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it shall come to pass that the fishers shall stand upon it from En-Gedi even to En-Eglaim, Now, I couldn't find in Eglium because it's not a known place on any maps, at least that are publicly available. But it's on the other side of the Dead Sea.
Oh, okay.
It's on the other side of the Dead Sea. They shall be a place to spread forth nets. Their fish shall be according to their kinds, as the fish of the great sea, exceeding many. As the same kind of fish as in the Mediterranean, but they're going to be freshwater fish. But the miry places thereof and the marshes thereof shall not be healed. They shall be given to salt. There's a lot of things that's extracted out of the Dead Sea right now. One of them being salt, right? There's salt, there's chemicals that they make cosmetics with. There's a lot of things extracted. Yeah, Dan?
So is the Dead Sea so dead that it don't even have brine?
Oh yes, it has brine.
Or it's not that dead now?
No, in a minute I'll get to some other facts for you. It says, and by the river upon the bank thereof, on this side and on that side, shall grow all trees for meat. In other words, the trees that have nuts, right? Meat is things that human beings eat.
Yeah.
That's what they use. That word meat means food.
Right.
Okay. Whose leaf shall not fade, neither shall the fruit thereof be consumed. It shall bring forth new fruit according to his months, because their waters they issued out of the sanctuary, and the fruit thereof shall be for meat, and the leaf thereof for medicine. I don't know if you remember, we read this in Ezekiel in chapter 47. Ezekiel 47, 1 through 12. The description of the life-giving stream cannot be the same as Revelation 22, verses 1 and 2. Dan, read us Revelation 22, 1 and 2. I know you got it pretty close there.
Revelation 22, 1 and 2?
Yes.
Okay. And he showed me a pure river of water of life, clear as crystal, proceeding out of the throne of God and out of the Lamb. That's verse 1. And of the Lamb. In the midst, in verse 2, in the midst of the street of it, and on the other side of the river was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, and yielded her fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations.
Okay. So, it says the description above of the life-giving stream cannot be the same as that one he just read about. It is a picture of Israel, not in heaven, but on earth. Because that's in heaven, isn't it, Dan?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's in heaven.
Mhm.
This one we're talking about is happening on earth. Okay?
This is cool.
It is a picture of Israel, not in heaven, but on earth. For En Gedi, a favorite tourist spot today, is mentioned, and in Eglaim, another great geographical location. Food for thought. Will Israel build the canal to bring in water from the Mediterranean? Or will water issue from Jerusalem to flow to both the Mediterranean and the Dead Sea, according to Zechariah's and Ezekiel's prophecies? We believe God's word shall prevail.
Mm-hmm.
There is a symbolic meaning to the living waters coming forth from Jerusalem after the Messiah's touchdown on earth. Here comes the Messiah to a sin-cursed earth, not only with healing in his wings, but reviving from his life-giving streams. When the Prince of Peace has come to earth, he will be king over all peoples. During the millennium, all the land from 6 miles north of Jerusalem, Geba, to 35 miles southwest, Rimmon, will be a plain. But Jerusalem will be raised up. Remember I said that when he cleaves it, it's going to raise up. Okay? Thus the living streams will be able to flow throughout the land, eastwards and westwards. The inhabitants of Jerusalem will dwell safely, free from all destruction. No more war between nations as given in Isaiah 2 and Micah 4. In retrospect, those who fought against Jerusalem had been punished with a weird pestilence wherein their flesh shall consume away. Remember reading that? Where their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. One economical way of defeating the enemy is to cause a great suspicion within the Allied army so that the different national contingents will fight one another and cancel one another. God used this tactic in the Allied invasion of Judah under Jehoshaphat. The Allied army of Ammon, Moab, and Seir, or Edom, suddenly fought among themselves. For the children of Ammon and Moab stood up against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, utterly to slay and destroy them. And when they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, everyone helped to destroy another. And when Judah came toward the watchtower in the wilderness, they looked unto the multitude, and behold, there were dead bodies fallen to the earth, and none escaped. They were all dead. There was no war left. In the end, Judah got the upper hand, and instead of being plundered, they gathered booty from the heathen, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. The plague that consumed away the flesh of the enemy troops in the battle of Armageddon that ended up in Jerusalem fell also on the horse, mule, camel, and ass, beasts of war, even into their tents. All the Gentile nations that came to attack Jerusalem, being thoroughly vanquished, they will now submit to the Messiah's rule. They will come annually to worship before the King, the Lord of hosts, and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles is one of the three big feasts, the others being Passover and Pentecost. The Feast of Tabernacles is the feast of ingathering, joy, praise, and thanksgiving. It was celebrated on the return of Israel from exile in Nehemiah 8:14 through 18. We've got to get to that in Sunday school here real soon.
Right.
Every nation under the sun will be required to worship the Messiah in Jerusalem upon pain of no rain. As for Egypt, if she came not to worship and keep the Feast of Tabernacles, she will receive double. She shall be smitten also with a plague. The reason is Egypt has the Nile, so rain or no rain, she can survive. Such a double punishment in Egypt will also extend to all nations that refuse to come up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles before the Lord. Holiness unto the Lord will be the theme of life in the millennium, and there will be no more Canaanite in the house of the Lord of hosts. No more unholy person, indeed, under his rule. And that's the end of our lesson for tonight.
Oh,
So we had a little fun with that.
yeah, that's good.
Got another map for your collection. Yes, sir, Dan.
So I'm familiar in Revelation where it talks about the upcoming the Battle of Armageddon,
Okay.
and here it says the plague will consume the flesh of the enemy troops. In the Battle of Armageddon, ended up in Jerusalem, fell upon the horse, the camel, and the ass, and all the beasts of war, even into their tents. I don't know why that just kind of confuses me. This is an upcoming prophecy, obviously.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm just overthinking it. I don't know.
It's just the difference from one prophecy and another. You know, don't get confused about the two because they're about, one's about heaven and one of them is on earth.
Physical Israel.
Yeah.
For next week,
Look at Malachi.
make yourself familiar with all of Malachi from one end to the other. Page 154 to 157. Okay. Getting close to the end of our year, folks.
Yeah.
Already.
And if you wish to do a little review in the charts, we have time that we can go over charts or we can look up things in charts, and that will be the week following. Okay. There's a little bit, there's a chart section here. Otherwise, we may just forfeit the rest of that class if you don't have questions about charts for that session. And we'll get into Doc and we'll get to go home early that night.
Okay.
I'm done, Doc.
All right.
We like getting into dog.
I'll take
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank
take
you.
You're
us
welcome.
offline.
Yeah.
That was very interesting.
Hope you enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
that was good.
Yeah.
It went too fast.
I like that.
Huh?